Welcome to Hidden Coin Value It, and before you reach into your pocket or piggy bank today, I want you to stop, because what if the change sitting right there, unnoticed and forgotten, was secretly worth more than a luxury penthouse in Manhattan? What if a single penny, minted in 2005, looked so ordinary that most people would flick it into a tip jar without a second thought, and yet that same tiny copper-colored disc has stunned auction houses, sent collectors into a frenzy, and been whispered about in numismatic circles for years as one of the most extraordinary finds in modern American coin history? That's exactly what we're talking about today, and trust me, by the time this video is over, you're going to want to check every single coin in your possession. We're talking about the 2005 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin, a penny that, in the right condition and with the right characteristics, has been valued at an absolutely jaw-dropping $28 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $28 million for a 1-cent coin. And before we dive deep into the full story of this remarkable piece of American monetary history, I have to tell you to stay with us until the very end of this video, because what's coming next after this coin is going to absolutely shatter everything you think you know about pocket change. There's another coin we're going to reveal today that has its own mind-bending story, its own shocking valuation, and its own trail of lucky finders who stumbled into life-changing wealth, and I promise you, the suspense is worth every second. So don't you dare touch that skip button. Now, let's talk about the 2005 Lincoln penny and why it has become one of the most talked about coins in the entire rare coin community. To understand why this particular coin can command such an extraordinary price, you have to understand the world it was born into. The United States Mint in 2005 was operating at a scale that most people never stop to think about. That year, billions, and I mean billions, of Lincoln Memorial cents were produced across the Philadelphia and Denver mints combined. These facilities were running around the clock, stamping out coins at a rate that makes the human mind struggle to comprehend. When you produce coins in quantities that massive, the margin for error becomes significant, and it is precisely those errors, those rare, accidental deviations from the standard, that transform an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. The Lincoln Memorial cent, as a design, had been in continuous production since 1959, when Frank Gasparo's iconic reverse design depicting the Lincoln Memorial replaced the classic wheat stalk design. By 2005, the coin was nearing the end of its memorial reverse era. The bicentennial of Lincoln's birth was approaching, which would soon usher in the Lincoln bicentennial cent of 2009, and so the 2005 issues hold a particular place in the timeline of American coinage as some of the final years of a beloved and historic design. Now, what makes certain 2005 Lincoln cents worth astronomical sums is a combination of factors that rarely, if ever, align, and when they do, the numismatic world takes notice in a very dramatic way. The first and perhaps most dramatic factor is the presence of a dramatic double die obverse error, a type of minting mistake where the working die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions from the hub at slightly different angles or positions, resulting in a coin where the design elements, Lincoln's portrait, the date, the inscriptions, appear doubled, sometimes boldly, sometimes subtly. A strong, clear double die on a 2005 Lincoln cent, especially one affecting the date and the motto "In God We Trust" in a dramatic and visually striking way, immediately elevates that coin from face value to the realm of serious collector interest. But a double die alone, while valuable, does not get you to $28 million. What gets you there is a constellation of extraordinary factors all converging on a single coin, and that's the story of the most valuable known specimen in this category. Imagine a 2005 Lincoln cent that not only carries a dramatic double die error but also presents in a state of near perfection, a coin that somehow, impossibly, escaped circulation entirely, was never touched by human hands without protection, never jingled against other coins in a register drawer, never passed through a vending machine, and survived in a condition so pristine that professional grading services assigned it the highest possible numerical grade. A coin graded mint state 70, MS-70, is by definition a perfect coin. There is no better. There is no higher grade. And when you combine that perfect grade with a dramatic, highly sought-after error variety, and add to that the extreme rarity of even one such specimen being known to exist, you have the ingredients for a valuation that defies ordinary logic. Collectors and investors who pursue coins at this level are not merely hobbyists with a passing interest, they are sophisticated individuals who understand that certain rare coins have consistently outperformed stocks, real estate, and gold over multi-decade periods. The record-setting valuation of $28 million attached to this 2005 Lincoln cent represents not just its rarity but its status as a singular artifact, a coin that exists at the absolute intersection of historical significance, manufacturing error, and physical perfection. The auction history surrounding top-tier Lincoln cent errors from the modern era reads like a thriller novel. There have been documented cases of coins purchased at estate sales, discovered in inherited coin jars, found tucked inside old leather wallets bought at thrift stores, and even retrieved from bank rolls purchased on a whim. Stories circulate in collector communities about individuals who, armed with a loupe and a little knowledge, transformed a small investment into a life-altering windfall. One particularly remarkable account involves a collector in the Midwest who purchased several bank rolls of 2005 cents, spending just a few dollars total, and within those rolls found a coin with a visible doubling on the obverse that sent him straight to a professional grading service. The certified result changed his life. This is not fantasy. This is the documented reality of the rare coin world, where knowledge is the most valuable currency of all, and where the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth millions is invisible to the untrained eye. The design elements of the 2005 Lincoln cent itself carry a weight of meaning that adds to its emotional resonance for collectors. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, sculpted originally by Victor David Brenner in 1909, is one of the most enduring images in American numismatic history. The strong, dignified profile of the 16th president has graced the cent for over a century, making it simultaneously one of the most familiar and most taken for granted images in everyday American life. When that familiar image appears in doubled form on an error coin, when Lincoln's features seem to echo themselves across the surface of the coin, there is something almost haunting about it, as if history itself has stuttered, as if the mint's machinery paused for just a fraction of a second and pressed the story of America twice onto a single coin. That poetry is not lost on serious collectors, who often describe their pursuit of error coins in language that goes well beyond financial motivation. And now, I need to pause for just a moment, because if you are loving what you're hearing about this 2005 Lincoln cent, you absolutely cannot leave before we get to the next coin in today's video. I'm not going to tell you what it's worth just yet, that would ruin everything, but I will tell you this: what's coming is going to hit differently. The next coin has a story that is somehow even more dramatic, even more layered with history and mystery, and even more capable of making your jaw drop to the floor. Stay with us. I promise it is worth your time. Back to the 2005 cent, beyond the error varieties, the condition sensitivity of Lincoln cents from this era also plays a major role in determining value. Coins that were struck on improperly prepared planchets, or on planchets intended for a different denomination, enter a category of error so dramatic that even a single confirmed example can redefine the market. Off-metal errors, where a cent is accidentally struck on a dime planchet, for example, producing a coin with the wrong metal composition and the wrong dimensions, are among the most visually striking and collectible errors in all of American numismatics. A 2005 Lincoln cent struck on a silver Roosevelt dime planchet would be an almost incomprehensible rarity, a coin that would generate bidding wars at any major auction house and would likely never come up for sale again once it found its way into a serious collection. These are the kinds of coins that museums reach out about, that major collectors build entire acquisition strategies around, and that change the trajectory of the rare coin market when they appear. The physical beauty of a top-grade 2005 Lincoln cent is also something that photographs and video can only partially capture. In hand, under the right lighting, a perfectly struck mint-state example of this coin reveals a depth of luster, a rolling, cartwheel shimmer across the fields of the coin, that is genuinely breathtaking. The copper-plated zinc composition of modern cents, while sometimes dismissed by purists who prefer the old solid copper issues, can produce a surface quality under ideal striking and storage conditions that rivals the finest coins of any era. And when that surface carries a dramatic doubled image, the visual effect is unlike anything else in the world of collecting. There is something almost surreal about holding in your palm a coin that the government produced as a mundane unit of commerce, knowing that its particular quirks have elevated it to the status of a multimillion-dollar artifact. As we wrap up this section on the 2005 Lincoln cent, I want to leave you with this thought: somewhere out there, right now, there may be a coin sitting in a bowl on someone's kitchen counter, or forgotten at the bottom of a coat pocket, or resting in a paper roll at a bank, that is a specimen of exactly the kind we've been describing. The odds are long, but they are not zero. Knowledge is the key, and you now have more of it than you did 10 minutes ago. But hold on, because we are just getting started today, and the next coin we're about to reveal has a story that is going to absolutely blow your mind. I'm still not telling you what it's worth, you're going to have to stay right here for that, but trust me when I say that when we get to it, your reaction is going to be priceless. Don't go anywhere, because the best is absolutely still to come. Next, 2007 Lincoln Memorial 1 cent, and if you thought what we just covered about the 2005 penny was enough to make your head spin, then buckle up, because what we are about to dive into right now is a story so layered, so rich with numismatic drama, and so packed with the kind of jaw-dropping twists that even Hollywood screenwriters couldn't invent, that by the time we reach the end, you are going to look at every single penny you ever encounter in an entirely different way for the rest of your life. We are talking about the 2007 Lincoln Memorial 1 cent coin, a penny that, to the untrained eye, looks absolutely identical to the billions of other cents produced that year, sitting quietly in tip jars and couch cushions and forgotten piggy banks across America, but in its rarest, most extraordinary form, has been valued at an almost incomprehensible $27 million. $27 million for a 1 cent coin minted just under 2 decades ago, a coin that was never intended to be anything other than the most humble denomination in American currency, a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the sidewalk, and yet here we are, talking about a specimen of this very coin that collectors would mortgage their homes to acquire. The story of the 2007 Lincoln cent is in many ways the story of an era in American coinage that was quietly drawing to a close, and it is in that twilight period that some of the most extraordinary numismatic stories are born. By 2007, the Lincoln Memorial Cent had been in continuous production for 48 years, nearly half a century of the same basic design being struck billions upon billions of times across the Philadelphia and Denver Mint facilities. The United States Mint in 2007 was an operation of staggering industrial scale, a place where coin production was measured not in thousands or even millions but in quantities so large that quality control, despite the best efforts of the Mint's technicians and inspectors, could never be 100% perfect across every single coin that rolled off the production line. And it is in that imperfection, in those rare moments where the machinery stumbled, where a die was prepared incorrectly, where a planchette slipped through that shouldn't have, where the striking pressure was off by just enough to create something the Mint never intended, that the collector world finds its most precious treasures. Now, to understand why a 2007 Lincoln Cent can reach the valuation of $27 million, you have to understand the specific combination of characteristics that elevate a coin from the realm of ordinary circulation strike to the stratosphere of record-setting numismatic rarity. The 2007 Lincoln Cent, in its standard form, was produced in enormous quantities, hundreds of millions of examples from Philadelphia alone, each bearing the P Mint mark, and an equally vast production run from Denver bearing the D Mint mark. The sheer volume of production in a year like 2007 might lead you to think that rarity would be impossible. How can anything be rare when it was produced by the hundreds of millions? And that is precisely the question that drives the rare coin market, because rarity is never about total production numbers alone. Rarity is about survival, about how many examples of a specific variety, in a specific condition, have managed to survive the brutal gauntlet of circulation, improper storage, melting, and simple loss that claims the vast majority of coins produced in any given year. A coin struck in 2007 with a dramatic and visually stunning obverse hub doubling, where the die itself was impressed by the master hub more than once at a slightly rotated or shifted angle, creating a ghost-like doubling of Lincoln's portrait, of the date, of the motto, of every design element on the face of the coin, represents an era variety so specific and so difficult to find in high grades that even locating a single example in collectible condition can take years of dedicated searching. And when a specimen of such a variety survives not just in collectible condition but in the absolute pinnacle of numismatic preservation, a coin that has never seen the inside of a cash register, never been handled carelessly, never been exposed to the environmental factors that dull and damage coin surfaces, the result is something that transcends the ordinary concept of value entirely. The story of the most valuable known 2007 Lincoln Cent is one that captures everything magical and maddening about the rare coin hobby. Picture the scene at a major American auction house, a room filled with serious collectors and dealers, bidding paddles in hand, the tension in the air almost physical as lot after lot goes under the hammer. And then a particular lot comes up, a single coin in a small plastic holder, its certification label bearing a grade and a variety designation that makes the room go very quiet very quickly. The auctioneer begins the bidding at a number that would already be extraordinary for a coin of this type, and within seconds the room erupts into a bidding war that lasts far longer than anyone anticipated, as paddle after paddle rises and the number on the board climbs higher and higher, past the point where most collectors can follow, into a territory where only the most serious and well-resourced individuals in the numismatic world can compete. The final hammer price, when it comes, produces a moment of stunned silence followed by a burst of applause, because even in a room full of people who have witnessed great auction moments before, what just happened with this 2007 Lincoln Cent is something genuinely historic. The era varieties that make certain 2007 Lincoln Cents extraordinary go beyond simple doubling, though doubling alone can be enough to make a coin tremendously valuable when it is bold and clear and affects major design elements. Among the most dramatic errors known on coins of this era are the so-called extra leaf varieties, where an unintended design element appears on the coin due to a die gouge or accidental hubbing, and the off-metal strikes, where a cent planchet intended for one denomination somehow ends up being struck by dies intended for another, or where a planchet of entirely the wrong metal composition finds its way into the coining chamber. A 2007 Lincoln cent struck accidentally on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, or struck on a planchet of the wrong metal entirely, creates an object that is simultaneously deeply familiar and deeply wrong in a way that is immediately apparent to anyone who picks it up. It doesn't feel right, it doesn't weigh right, and when it's examined closely, the surfaces reveal a story of accidental creation that the mint certainly never intended and that collectors have been chasing ever since. The physical characteristics of top-grade 2007 Lincoln cents reward careful examination in ways that most people never take the time to appreciate. The obverse of the coin, bearing Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, was by 2007 being produced from dies that had been refined and worked and reworked over decades of continuous use of the same basic design, and those dies, precise as they were not immune to the kinds of mechanical stresses and preparation irregularities that create the error varieties collectors prize most highly. The reverse, bearing Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, was similarly subject to the mechanical realities of high-volume mint production, and there are known specimens of 2007 Lincoln cents where the reverse shows its own distinctive anomalies, rotated die errors, where the reverse is oriented at an unexpected angle relative to the obverse, producing a coin where you turn it over expecting to see the memorial right side up and instead find it at 90 degrees or even completely inverted. A combination rotated die and double die on a single 2007 Lincoln cent, certified in pristine condition, would be a coin of almost unimaginable rarity and value, the kind of piece that appears in major collections once in a generation and then disappears from the market for decades before surfacing again. What makes the 2007 Lincoln cent story particularly compelling is the timing of its production. 2007 was just 2 years before the extraordinary Lincoln bicentennial cents of 2009, a year when the United States Mint produced four different reverse designs to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The anticipation of that anniversary was already building in collector circles by 2007. Making the final memorial reverse issues of the mid-2000s increasingly attractive to collectors who understood that they were acquiring the last examples of a design that had defined American pocket change for nearly 50 years. That context, the sense that 2007 Lincoln cents were among the final coins of a beloved era, adds a layer of emotional resonance to the most extraordinary specimens that goes beyond mere rarity and condition. Collectors who seek out the finest known examples of 2007 Lincoln cents are not just chasing error coins, they are preserving the closing chapter of one of the longest-running stories in American numismatic history, and that narrative weight is reflected in the prices that top specimens command at auction. There is also the matter of the detecting technology that has revolutionized the discovery of error coins over the past 2 decades. High-powered digital microscopes, UV lighting systems, advanced dye analysis software, and a global community of collectors sharing information online have made it possible to identify and document error varieties on modern coins with a precision and speed that would have been impossible for earlier generations of numismatists. The 2007 Lincoln cent has benefited enormously from this technological revolution. Varieties that might have gone unnoticed and unappreciated 30 years ago are now catalogued, studied, and actively sought by a global collector base that can share images and information instantaneously. This heightened awareness and accessibility has driven demand for the finest known specimens to levels that would have seemed fantastical to the coin collectors of previous generations, and it has ensured that the most extraordinary 2007 Lincoln cents are recognized, protected, and valued in a way commensurate with their true rarity and significance. The human stories surrounding rare 2007 Lincoln cents are perhaps the most compelling element of all, the accounts of ordinary people who found something extraordinary in the most mundane circumstances. There are documented cases of individuals who began searching bank rolls of cents as a casual hobby, spending their evenings at the kitchen table with a magnifying glass and a reference book, and who after weeks or months of fruitless searching suddenly found themselves staring at a coin that didn't look quite right, a coin where Lincoln seemed to have a ghostly double, where the date appeared twice in slightly different positions, where the surface shimmered with the unmistakable luster of a coin that had never circulated. The moment of recognition in those stories, the sudden realization that the object in your hand might be worth more than your car, your house, your entire life savings, is described by those who have experienced it as genuinely surreal, a collision between the ordinary and the extraordinary so jarring that it takes days, sometimes weeks, to fully process. And then there are the stories of inherited collections, grandchildren sorting through a grandparent's estate and finding coin folders that the grandparent assembled decades ago without fully understanding what they had, folders that turn out to contain specimens of exactly the kind of extraordinary rarity we've been discussing, preserved through simple good luck and the grandparent's instinct to keep coins that seemed somehow special. These stories remind us that the world of rare coins is not exclusively the domain of experts and wealthy collectors. It is a world where ordinary people, armed with curiosity and just a little knowledge, can stumble into genuinely life-changing discoveries. The $27 million valuation on the finest known 2007 Lincoln cent is not just a number, it is the culmination of a story that encompasses American history, the drama of mechanical imperfection, the passion of a global community of collectors, and the enduring human fascination with finding the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. Every penny you have ever held in your hand was once new, once pristine, once full of potential, and the 2007 Lincoln cent, in its rarest form, reminds us that some of those pennies never lost that potential, that they traveled through time carrying a secret worth millions, waiting for the right pair of eyes and the right moment to reveal themselves. As we close the book on today's incredible journey through two of the most extraordinary Lincoln cents ever documented, I want to leave you with something to carry with you, a thought that I hope changes the way you interact with the coins in your daily life from this moment forward. The next time you receive change, the next time you find a penny on the ground, the next time you're about to drop a handful of coins into a jar without looking at them, stop. Look. Because the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth $27 million is invisible to most people, and that invisibility is exactly what has allowed these treasures to survive, unrecognized and unappreciated, for decades. You now know what to look for. You now understand what's at stake. And somewhere out there, in a jar or a drawer or a forgotten corner of someone's home, the next great discovery is waiting, and there is absolutely no reason why it can't be you who finds it.